pastrami's bomb. I have an In-N-Out spread sauce that I got from digging through garbages. I put it with this pastrami. It's so good. But as I was making that video, there's that fucking sleeve that pulls up. Had to fucking annoy me, black magic hex me. And then they had another one after I ended the video that came up on the other side of me, and they had to fucking both mad about what I was talking about. Everyone driving by in Telepathy's angry. Every time I get food somewhere out of a garbage, everyone with Telepathy's fucking angry. They're just calling me like homo, queer, homo, queer, homo, queer. They think like if they keep doing it to me, it's gonna like have any effect on me. Another thing they did in this park, every time I went to go charge my stuff at like the charging towers in like the middle of the park by the pond, there's like picnic tables and stuff. They have like a clone or like some version of like, he's supposed to be like Jesus or like evil Jesus. Then there's like a version of David from the Bible, and there's a version of Aaron that's a girl, and then there's a version of I think he's like one of the some like a god, like connected to those three from some parallel universe that they enslaved and captured. Every time I go to the park, I've seen these people before in other simulators, and like the dude who's Jesus, he's come up to me and given me like, I was in another part of the park and I was prey battling people, like we're talking like a month ago, like a month and a half ago. He would like try to talk to me, manipulate me, and he gave me like, he tried to offer me like an Oreo cookie when I didn't want any of their food around. This is a long time ago. This was like months ago. This was around Thanksgiving when they gave out the Thanksgiving dinners, and I didn't want any part of it because I knew it was like hex food, and I had food and I had money for food. It was like around Thanksgiving time. This was like 4 or 5 months ago when I was in East Parks homeless. They tried to give me like Oreo cookie, like black and white cookies with like whatever white cream filling and black cookies, and the same kind of cookies they give out in prison as like an Illuminati like hex or spell to try to like capture a white soul. But every time I would go to these towers, they would like, bro, just run by. They would like always talk to me and always try to interact with me, and like a couple times this dude would ride around on one of these scooters with 3 wheels, and it was fucking Timothy, the alien that I was talking about, who runs these simulations, and he's dressed as like an old, he was like in a, these are, I think the aliens, they're good at talking. They're the green, taller aliens that are just like green, that are like almost the color of that soda bottle. If I put it on it. And they just have like black eyes, and they're good at like talking all the time. That's what they're known for, I think. And Brian Kelly's one of these aliens too, and he's like an Animorph alien too. I don't like Brian Kelly. He was like attacking me when he came. When the cockroach aliens were like in the storage unit, he came and pretended to get eaten by them and pretended to be on my side. Then when I was going to Walmart after that same day, him and Elon Musk, he's Donald Trump and Elon Musk, they like attacked me in the spirit world and like tried to prey on my fucking dick the whole time I walked to Walmart. The entire time I walked to Walmart, they're fucking like messing with my dick in the spirit world. And he was like saying he was like a bear Animorph. I don't know if he's a bear Animorph or he's one of those green aliens, because he's like one of those, like he talks like a lot, and he's like one of the people that manipulates through talking a lot. And that's what the dude riding on the 3 scooters when I was in the park recently, he said his name was Dave, but it was Timothy. And he even said something about, when I realized he was both Timothy, I didn't realize it was Timothy until after I thought about it. When I realized he was my grandfather and my cousin Jeffrey, the grandfather that married into my mom's side, who like fucked up my whole mom's family. I think like he was related to like I think what happened is they knew I was going to be Ramses, and they figured out they did some ritual, something connected to Egypt in like one of my like tombs or something, and they figured out where and when I was going to be born, and then they prayed and they used time travel and stuff, and they prayed on my mom's family to create divorce, and like fucked up my mom's family. And like I saw in these simulators my uncle Johnny, who I've met when I was really young, and he's like a good dude. He's like not a bad dude. He's like tried to help me in these simulators, and we've been like he was like helping me when the cockroach aliens were like battling. He was on the bus like making sure I was like okay. But he was like fucking pissed because I think some shit happened with like one of his friends and like his dad, which is my grandfather Harold. That's like my actual grandfather. And then my grandfather Harold and my grandma Susie got divorced. And like my whole mom's family, they didn't even talk to each other barely. Like I would see them at like Christmas when I go to my grandpa's house, but like I saw them a few times, and he was like cool, and like my cousins were cool, and they let me play with their toys and stuff. But other than that, we really didn't like see each other much. My mom barely talks about her family. And like this is because like this fucking douchebag alien I think he created divorce with like witches, and then he married my grandma Susie. And like he's the one who I would go see my grandma Susie, or go see, like there was my grandma Susie's house and there was my grandpa Harold's house, and I would go to grandpa Harold's like for like Christmas and stuff, and then sometimes I would go to grandma Susie's, and every time I would go to grandma Susie's I would play dominoes with grandpa Gordon, and grandpa Gordon was this fucking alien who also I figured out like through I like am connected to the energies of consciousness, and when I say things like through their telepathy, another fucking person like looking right at me while I'm talking because they're pissed. They fucking don't want me to talk about this stuff. The more I talk about it, the more I post these videos, the more I get a lot of feedback through their telepathy. When I say things and say things, they'll like tell me if I'm right or not, and I kind of like through context clues figure this stuff out. But like first, by interacting with this dude Dave in the park with 3 wheels, I thought he was Brian Kelly because he's like one of those like talking all the time, manipulating, keep like talking, right? He said something about Tibetan meditation, and that's what a lot of them use to jump into different people's bodies is Tibetan meditation, I think. And then he said something made up, like he said some stuff that was true and some stuff made up, and then he said something about a book or like an author, and he said Gurdjieff. He said Gurdjieff, and then it clicked in my head that he was Grandpa Gordon and my cousin Jeffrey, who I thought my cousin Jeffrey might have been an alien, and he was like someone who like was friends with my Uncle Richie, but I never met him. And he was this really smart person who like was a rocket scientist for NASA, and he was like friends with my Uncle Richie. So like being through this whole thing and dealing with my Uncle Richie, who I'm pretty sure is Lucifer, from context clues and interacting with him, and sometimes he dresses up like this black dude, or like wears a suit of a person that's like a black dude, that, or Tibetan meditation, whatever it is, whether they're aliens or they're people using Tibetan meditation, that looks like Willy Wonka. Like he wears a top hat, he wears like sunglasses sometimes, but it's like it's like an African American man with a top hat, and he looks like weird, like he looks like an alien kind of. But he like definitely resembles Willy Wonka, and like that's how I put everything together, kind of like, because I knew the Wizard of Oz had to do with the Wicked Witch of the West, who I had sex with, but I didn't know, and I knew that Willy Wonka, who when I talked to Einstein in the airport at the time when he was buying me food, he was like trying to figure out all these hidden Illuminati things in Willy Wonka, and I couldn't piece together why Willy Wonka had so much power. I knew it had as much power as the Wizard of Oz, but I couldn't connect who out of these simulations was like who Willy Wonka was based off of. And then I put it together recently, but like when he said Gurdjieff, I knew he meant Grandpa Gordon. And they try to like sneak these things in front of you so you don't notice, so they have power over you, these aliens and Illuminati people. And he said Gurdjieff, and when he said that, I said you're in my head in telepathy. I said, you heard Grandpa Gordon and Jeffrey, and he reacted, and that's when I started piecing things together. And I do that shit when the simulator, when you say stuff that sets off an alarm, like it's all like fucking part of the simulation. That's why that fucking alarm just went off. And I think when he worked for NASA as Jeffrey, they thought he was an alien. But he like was like a rocket scientist for NASA, and I think he trained Elon Musk as an alien or an Illuminati person, how to like build rockets and stuff. Like that's how he got started. And then Brian Kelly, I think, is the protege of the other kid who, when I figured out like these weird kids who like interacted with me, like if I think like I'm so connected with meditation and like the energies of consciousness that I'll think about somebody, and then in these simulations, like it'll like be that person, and I'll say, "Are like, are you that person?" And they'll fucking flinch or react, and like usually when I think about somebody, they're right around me, and this has happened like throughout these simulations the entire time. I don't just like I say stuff in my head in telepathy, and then I use context clues to see if I'm right, because I don't know if I'm right or not. And then most of the time, a lot of the times, I've been right about this stuff. But he said Gurdjieff about talking about some book about Tibetan meditation, and then I hit me, and I said like, "Are you like your Grandpa Gordon Jeffrey?" And he was like yeah, like he reacted, and then he started getting all like hyper about it for no reason. But like it's hard because you're having a conversation at the same time, and then I'm saying stuff in telepathy like in my head, and like they can hear the telepathy. And like that's how when I eat food or get food out of the garbage, like I'll communicate with these aliens in telepathy, and they'll be fucking pissed when I find food. But like so I pieced together that he was Jeffrey and Grandpa Gordon. He's this alien that was both of them. And then when I thought about like these kids who were weird, who had like they were like 8 years old, and they had like one had blue hair, the other one had like purple hair with a rat tail, and we played like NBA. Like I said, the first time I met Timothy, we played like I would use all my parents like coins and quarters and stuff, and we would play like this Teenage Mutant Turtle arcade game like all fucking day. Like it was the best game at the arcade, so we would just play that, and then we'd go get more money and play that and go get more money. We had a blast, and he seemed like a cool kid. And then not the next year, like a few years later, like 2 or 3 years later, like he's back at this camp in Vermont. My parents would go there to try to like fucking pair me with Illuminati like people and aliens, to try to fucking like, and my dad supposedly is Dracula, and I didn't know this my whole life. He supposedly is Dracula. And like that's another thing I got out of telepathy. And I don't know who my mom is, but they're like they like weren't even friends. They didn't even like watch TV or hang out together. It was like they were literally only together through these aliens after my mom got divorced, and she like basically like separated from the rest of her family. I knew like hardly anything except for my grandparents about my mom's family, and like seeing them once in a while at like Christmas. Like it was always Christmas we would go. But like then I thought about like these kids, and I was like, who are these kids? Like they had to be aliens. And then I like said like, oh, your Jeffrey was Timothy, and then the other alien was Dakota. And Dakota was also this other kid. Like later on, when I was older, around 13, another kid was there. I hated this kid so much. I've never hated a kid more in my life. His name was Derek, and I never wanted to beat the shit out of anyone so bad in my life. And Dakota was Derek, and he was also this kid that moved to my school in middle school. His name was Dan Jackson, and he would pick on me sometimes. Like, not terribly, but, like, to the point where I fucking didn't really like him that much. But I didn't hate him as much as Derek. And they were the same fucking alien. But, like, me saying this stuff in telepathy, like, they can hear it through all the simulations. And, like, they react to it. And they fucking, like, will basically tell me that I'm, like, you know, like, oh, liar. Like, don't say that. Or something like that. Like, they'll react to it. And then I put those together through context clues. And they're fucking, he just said, like, queer. Like in telepathy, because he's fucking pissed that I'm talking about this stuff. And like a girl walked by, and then 2 people walked by behind, like where I'm facing, because they're fucking pissed that I'm talking about this stuff. But like recently when I went to the park, Timothy, Grandpa Gordon, cousin Jeffrey, same fucking alien, I thought he was Brian Kelly. He kept trying to like get me to smoke. Like, I like smoking weed, and they knew that. And they kept giving me weed. And when they would give me weed, it has like power. Like, it was strong weed, and I think it's alien gay, like it's alien homosexual weed, and weed is like the devil's lettuce. And when I would smoke weed, they would all be preying on me, trying to fucking get like weird subconscious tics of like fucking homosexuality, mental illness, and I could sense it, and also like trying to steal my shit when I'm high, and I would like sense it, and I would run back to my stuff. And this happened recently in the last week. Like week and a half, and I'd like run back, and then every time I go to the park, like those same 4 fucking people from the Bible, like version of God, version of Jesus, version of David, version, and again, like me using telepathy and context clues. This is how I figured this out. I'm not just like, I guess, and a lot of times I'm right, because then they react to it in these simulators, and I'm like, how is all this stuff like accurate? Like, half time I think it's a dream. But then, like, the fact that my stuff got stolen in the simulations, the fact that, like, they're trying literally to starve me to the point where I had to pick out of garbage cans. Like, I know it's not. I know it's real. Because, like, physically my things are missing. Physically they stole my toothpaste. Physically all these things add up, like, through logic, reason, and philosophy. Like, it's not easy. Like, many people would probably be, like, fucking, like, what the fuck is going on? But like because I have telepathy, and it's really strong because I've been righteous my whole life, and I don't really have like the demons. If I have any, it's because they put them in my subconscious. Like, they'll plant little demon seeds in my head, and when I like it's one when there's like a male person in my consciousness, I'll say like, I start saying like hot for no reason in my subconscious, and I started to change it to like high, and like when I got high around them, they like kept preying on that, and I kept saying like hot, like in my subconscious while I'm talking to them. And then the other aliens in telepathy will be like, you're a queer, and they try to manipulate you, and this is what they do. This is like their game. But like, it happened twice. Like, he offered me weed and I got high, and then I even got some weed from him and like traded him candy for it, so like it's fair. And then I smoked it here, and even when I smoked it here away from them in my like spot in the park, they fucking could prey on it and like use it as the devil's lettuce and like get in my head and shit. So I was like, I don't even want to smoke weed in these simulations because they have a lot of power over me, or like decently relative to like the kind of power that they have over me now. But like I pieced all this together recently, that like these aliens that run these simulations, that are like fucking Donald Trump, Brian Kelly, and Matt Foley, Elon Musk's proteges through this slave network, are the same kids that would prey on me at summer camp in Vermont. Like I was like thinking about like, you know, memories, and like those kids that had their fucking hair dyed. Like, if all these aliens have been a part of my life my whole life, and like that dude Dave in the park is fucking Grandpa Gordy. He said Gorjeff. Like, why would he say that? He's like making up stuff. Like, and then he reacted when I said it, like Grandpa Gordon and cousin Jeffrey, and he was like he like fucking got all like buggy. Like, otherwise I wouldn't even think that was like he was that. I thought he was like Brian. I thought he was another version of Brian Kelly, like Donald Trump. Like, he's Donald Trump sometimes. He's like other people in these simulations. And I don't know if they're aliens with different human suits, or they're human Illuminati using Tibetan meditation to like cast themselves in different bodies. Like, I really don't know the difference, but like I know that they're in this Illuminati network, and regardless if they're aliens or humans, they're living beings, and they're in this Illuminati slave network, and they're trying to manipulate me along with other slaves in this network. Now I have to go to another spot in the park and like go through my shit and try to figure out what I need and what I don't need. Try to fucking survive till I get paid again. It's shouldn't be hard. I think I fucking know like a few good spots I can go to, but like they just keep making it harder for me when they can't manipulate me. They get fucking pissed. And the whole time I walked from Sonics to where I was at the bus stop, and I started making that the first part of this video, or the other part when I talked for like whatever 13 minutes, everyone was fucking pissed, calling me like fucking mentally ill fucking names like the whole time, because I just got food. But like putting all this stuff together, like it's true. Like it's fucking, it has to be true. Like, these aliens have been preying on me my whole life. And like going back to them, knowing I was gonna be Ramses, I think they like used like time travel and like some form of like Satanist rituals to figure out where and who I was gonna be born, like how. And they paired my mom, who was supposed to have me, and that's why he created Divorce in My Mom's Family, I think, with Dracula, to try to like Dracula, like try to make me as Ramses, like a evil version, like as if Dracula's my dad, like that he would mold me into an evil version of Ramses so they had more power. It didn't work. I stayed right. I've been relatively righteous and tried to do good things my whole life, and that's how it's gotten to this point. How like when I asked to go away to college, my parents were like, no, 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 and my mom literally cried as if like it was the weirdest thing. She would cry like as if she was like this baby. Like, why can't you let me go away to college? I'm like a really smart kid, and it like would give me great opportunities. And it happened for like a month. She would just cry every night, and we would argue, and they even would like lie that it happened. They would be like, nah, it didn't happen. And then eventually my dad, after a month of arguing, was like, all right, you can go. And it's like he had to set all this up. And then after I figure out, like, I'm paired with all these Illuminati people in college, like Brian Kelly, John Stoner, who's Sun Wukong. I think my friend Brian Dawson was I think he was either David Copperfield or Timothy, but I think he was David Copperfield. And then Matt Foley was one of my friends in college, and like Steve Muir is also someone that's been in these simulations. He was my roommate in college with John Stoner, who's Sun Wukong, and then Pat Greeny, who's been Spider-Man in these simulations. Like, my dad had to like set all that up before they could give me the okay to go to college. They literally had to. And then he would always talk about like as a waste of money, as if like they sent me to college, paid for it, to try to fucking sell me into this Illuminati slave network. And like they didn't have any power over me, so they were pissed that they wasted the money. Like, it's pretty horrible that my family fucking flies probably somebody too. Like, I kind of like put all this stuff together like recently, like after being tied to these networks and like finding out who's who, and like realizing like the whole PTSD stuff, like that was all like planned. Like, my family basically did that on purpose, and I could never figure out why. They were like, you're a liar. Or like my dad had to like try to get me to buy 2 cars, buy my sister's car, and it was because like, and at the same time I'm like dating this witch for like a month who'd come over and I'd have sex with, and like the whole thing now I realize was a scam to like get this car. It was like a black car or like a silver car, like a dark colored car, and the whole thing was to hex the car, and I got in this really fucking bad accident, but I was fucking like fine. Like, I had like a bruise on my chest and that was it, and the woman in front of me got like whiplash, and it was like a 4-car fucking collision, and I was like fine. And like my sister was even like, how are you not like in more, like she was like mad I wasn't like more injured. Like, they tried to kill me and like sell me into this Illuminati network since college, and then like every job I had since then was like part of an Illuminati network. Like, every single job, even I think my internships with the DOT were like Illuminati based, but every job I had out of college was Illuminati fucking like bullshit. And like, you just piece things together like piece by piece and figure stuff out. And this is like the 4th or 5th fucking person, and every single person just looks right at me. Like, now he looks away, like knows exactly like where I am, and fucking is like preying on me with black magic hexing, and they're all like fucking pissed now that I'm gonna post this on the internet. But every single person that walked by like looked directly fucking at me first, because they're all fucking pissed. And that's like the 4th or 5th fucking, there was a girl, and then that's like 4 or 5 fucking dudes since I fucking shot this video. But they all looked right at me, knew exactly where I was. It's bullshit. But like, I'm definitely not the only one. But like, these alien fucking people and Illuminati people have been trying to prey on me as a white soul, as Ramses, to try to, I think, make me into a dark version of Ramses and like a slave network, like basically my entire life. It's wild.